As a salesperson, our main goal is to sell as many people as we can with the highest margins and the highest amounts. But the problem that most salespeople face is that they're so focused on persuading and convincing the prospect or the customer that what ends up happening is they actually push more prospects away than pull them in. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Eric Fisher from Elevate Sales. And in this video, we're going to talk about 3 ways you can immediately start selling more as a salesperson. And what I teach most of my students in my Elevate Sales Academy program is I teach them how to leverage anti-friction selling in order to open more conversations, open the lines of communication, and really lead with transparency, which builds insane trust and credibility with prospects, which is the complete opposite of what most of your competitors are doing. But specific to this video, what I'd like to do is show you 3 things you're doing wrong currently and 3 things you can actually improve on and implement immediately as a salesperson to start selling more. So let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my iPad with you guys. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you, first thing is, what are the 3 things that you're doing wrong as a salesperson and what you can start doing to change them right away. So first things first, you're relying too much on the phone. And I think what most people are going to assume when I say this is that I think you should not make phone calls as a salesperson. Completely untrue. There is no better time to learn how to leverage effective phone selling techniques, video selling than right now. We are currently at the hopeful tail end of the COVID-19 pandemic, but more people are at home working remotely. They're in places that you can reach them by phone versus sitting inside physical buildings in meetings. And so you have a greater chance of reaching them on the phone. And most of your competitors are afraid to use the phone to begin with. So you definitely need to learn how to message effectively on the phone to set more meetings and to sell more. But here's the problem. What most people do is they're far too reliant upon one communication medium. And that just doesn't work, because if your prospect, for example, never picks up any calls or numbers that they don't know, then obviously the phone's not going to be the effective communication medium that you need to use. Instead, a better option or solution would be to use multiple communication mediums like phone, email, text, video, social selling, just to name 5, that you could use all as tools in your tool belt to set a meeting with these prospects that are so hard to reach. Now, the second thing that most salespeople do wrong is they just don't do their research. You know, there's never been a time in our history where prospects have more information as buyers than we do as salespeople. When the internet became, free for everybody to use and everybody had access to it as business owners and as business professionals, it really changed the game for salespeople, because what happened is salespeople used to be in the power position. They had more information back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then really up to about the 1990s than the buyers did. But the thing is that when more of our buyers started using the internet and all the different tools and websites and subscription services they have access to research different products and services to solve their problems, it really flipped the script and completely put salespeople in what's called an information deficit, also known as information asymmetry. Essentially, the buyer has more information than you do. So in order to be effective as a salesperson, you absolutely have to do research. And currently, if one of the reasons why you're not setting enough meetings and appointments with new prospects, it's probably because you're not able to understand the problems of your prospects and your customers. Therefore, your message is not resonating with them at all, and that's why they're not responding back to you either, or throwing up a ton of objections if you get them on the phone, is because you're not speaking to the problems that they have as a business person, and you absolutely have to do that. So that's the second thing. You have to do your research. And the third thing is most of your messaging lacks personalization. So in today's day and age, there's a lot of automation tools and machine learning out there, and I get it. It's great to use machine learning and automation to take some of the manual tasks as salespeople and move them off our plates. But there's one major problem. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these automation tools out there for sales prospecting and pipeline building, because they're not personalized. And what happens is most salespeople just don't have enough information and are not trained well in order to realize that the reason why the reason why you're doing outreach is because you want to set more meetings with actual buyers who can buy your product or service. The goal is not to send more emails. Never has been. It's never to do as much outreach as possible. The goal always remains the same. Keep the main thing the main thing. Set as many appointments with qualified buyers to have good discussions to qualify them in or out of your sales process. And then if they do qualify them in, get into deep discovery to better understand their problems so then you can teach them how your product or service can help them solve that problem. Well, guess what? If you can't get in front of those people in the first place, sending out 10,000 automated emails a week is not going to get you there. And so you need to learn how to personalize your messaging if you really want to pack your calendar full of meetings with qualified buyers. And that's the one thing that's been able to set me apart from all of my peers in my industry is my ability to speak directly to high-ranking executives at very large organizations because of the research I do and the way that I'm able to put into a compelling message so people actually want to speak to me because I have something of value to talk to them about. So let's now move into 3 things you can do immediately in order to sell more as a salesperson. The first thing is you need to build a cadence or a sequence and start thinking about each person that you're reaching out to as a sales campaign versus just one moment in time. What I see most salespeople doing is they build out their list or their call sheet for the day, and then they'll blow through those 25 calls, and then they're done. And then they might go back into their CRM like a week or 2 later, and then they'll go back through that list and then they'll call all those same people again. But they actually haven't thought about, okay, what's my method of outreach? What are all the different communication mediums I'm going to leverage in order to get in front of the attempted target that I'm trying to spend time with to understand if they have a problem we can solve? So you need to start thinking about what your sequence will look like. Maybe it's going to start out with a phone call, and then 2 days later or a week later, it'll be an email. And then maybe it'll be a social media touch on LinkedIn. And then it'll possibly be a text message if you have their cell phone number. And then maybe another email, right? There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat that I teach inside of my program. But whatever you do, start thinking of targeting your prospects and your major target customers that you want to get in front of. Start thinking about your sequence in advance instead of just moments in time during your outreach, because what happens is you never build any positive momentum and you're not actually creating valuable noise in order to get their attention when they've got so many other things coming at them on a daily basis. Moving along, the second thing I already touched on is do your research. If you want to be an informed seller and in order to create compelling messaging, you have to do your research to understand the problems of the person you're trying to reach. If you can't speak to them in the way they want to be communicated to, then guess what? They're not going to pay attention to you. And the only way that you can do this is by doing the appropriate amount of research. Now, if you want to learn how to research faster, you can, I'll put a link down below. You can book a strategy call with me to determine if you are a fit for my program in Elevate Sales Academy, where we teach people how to make less phone calls, send less emails, send less social touches, but actually 10x the amount that they're able to sell by learning how to research more quickly and highly effective manner so that you can sell more to these hard to reach buyers. But back to today's video, if you learn how to use specific tools like Owler and Seeking Alpha, you can get updates on a lot of company major initiatives to put yourself in a position of credibility and authority with these buyers when you're trying to reach out to them via phone, email, LinkedIn, whatever attempted contact approach you're using. Then the last thing is, the third way that you can start selling more immediately is starting by creative, effective messaging. Now, most of you are doing some sort of outreach and you're putting a lot of time, I think, into the message. At least I hope you are, because the whole point is to set meetings and sell more, not just do more and more volume of whatever outreach you're doing. But how much thought do you really put into your message? If you did the research, now you know the problems of your target buyer. But there's 3 different levels that you need to understand. First and foremost, if you're a salesperson, you need to learn the art and science of copywriting. When you learn how to write effective copy, you have a very sharp tool at your disposal, which is writing effective emails to set more appointments with customers. Most salespeople do not have this skill at all, and it's something I would strongly encourage you to learn. I'll put a couple links. I'll put a link here to someone that I follow that has taught me a lot about effective copywriting, and I'll put another one over in this corner of another channel you can follow if you really want to learn how to use copywriting to your advantage to book more appointments. But back to this video, there's 3 ways that you need to speak to your customer. The first is going to be really the worst way, but it's still better than nothing. And that's going to be speaking to problems in their industry. So if you can talk about problems in their industry that most people in their industry are trying to solve, that's going to level you up more than all of your other competitors that are calling and just trying to understand their business. The second way is you can actually speak to problems of their peer group. So this would be if you're calling a VP or emailing a VP, then being able to speak to people that are in their industry at their peer level and the problems they're trying to solve, which is even better than just speaking to the industry itself. And then the best way is going to be this one right here, which is the target specific problem that your target audience is trying to solve, right? And so this is the one right here. If you can speak exactly to the problems that this person is trying to solve for their company because you did enough research, then this is going to be like a laser and a spear right at them, and you're going to nail the exact problem they're trying to solve. When you can do this, you are going to be highly effective as a salesperson, and the amount of trust and credibility you build is insane because guess what? None of your competitors are doing this, okay? And so when you learn how to effectively speak to your prospects in a manner that makes sense to them, and they're like, you know what? Wow, this salesperson actually took the time to research me, research my company, and they actually know a thing or two about my industry. These people are going to want to spend time with you now because guess what? None of your competitors are doing this. And so you only have to be 1% better than all the rest, which is the 99% that are generalists and don't specifically speak to the hearts and minds of their customers. So hopefully this is helpful in this video. I hope you take the time to think about your sequences and think about the cadences you're building in your outreach. I hope you take some time to actually create an entire day where you focus on doing research and administrative activities that are still income producing activities, like understanding the problems of your customer. And then I really hope you followed my message on the third one, which is create effective messaging that speaks to the problems of your customers, whether it be an industry, a peer-related problem, or a very specific hyper-personalized message. I promise you, if you do this, you'll pack your calendar full of more qualified meetings and you'll sell more due to having a fatter pipeline year after year. I hope this video was helpful to y'all. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video because it helps out the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.